it takes a very, very smart brunette to play a dumb blonde. And sometimes you have to know your role in your position. I don't need people to know what I do, what I'm into, or whatever. I just need them to pay attention, and they pay attention to foolishness. So that's what it takes. And sometimes you gotta put on the clown hat, but I always have my high heels and my red lipstick available. If Instagram and Twitter, Snapchat vanished today, what else would you have?
Welcome to another episode of All Tied Up. Today we have Masika Kalysha, one of my favorite people, and I'm so happy that she's here today because we're going to dive into her life of being a model, an entrepreneur, a businesswoman. She is a mom that just keeps it together. I don't even know what it's like for her to not be working because every time I see her, she's always got something new. So we're going to dive into it. So you grew up in Chicago?
I did, born and raised south side of Chicago. I went to school in Chicago Heights. And I grew up like in a black neighborhood, black inner city neighborhood. I went to school in a Mexican neighborhood with all of the rich white drug addict children. So I kind of got a mix of every dynamic in one day as a kid.
Was it a poor neighborhood? Was it a rich neighborhood? Or I don't know how that works out.
I would say lower middle class. I don't know if it was a poor neighborhood. I know we were poor, but I didn't know we were poor as a kid. I had fun. I had everything I thought I wanted, thought I needed. I didn't realize till I got older, oh, shit, we were poor. So my parents did a good job of making sure we had enough, love, and I never wanted anything I didn't really have. Like, of course, I want these shoes, whatever. But, my parents did the best that they could. And I think it's really good that, like I said, I didn't realize that I didn't have everything that the other kids had at school because I was happy.
I've had the pleasure of meeting your mom several times, and I love that woman to death.
Yeah, thanks.
And she said that her idol is Robert Kiyosaki. So that's, coming
Rich dad, poor dad.
From your mother and your stories and everything we've talked about, Robert Kiyosaki stands for, investing in yourself, investing in properties and marketing and everything about elevating somebody's self. And becoming, independent and wealthy. Has any of that rubbed off on you?
Oh, absolutely. The thing with my parents, my mom's father owned several businesses. He had a record shop, he had a barbecue place and things like that. So as a child, she would go to work with him and help him run the register. So she saw that very early on. And he was very frugal and he penny pinched a whole lot. He might have $300 in coins sitting in his trunk, at any given time because he always, saved everything. And, he was not generous. So, she learned a lot from him. My parents got married very young, 18, 21. They didn't know much of anything. My dad went to the Air Force pretty early. And, my mom always tried to teach us about, be a business owner and do these things, but we didn't have the capital to do it. So, I remember my mom watching like Susie Orman and things like that. I'm like, oh my God, this is boring. But, my mom, she always had that ambition and aspiration and tried to always teach us to be our own bosses. But again, we learned about it, but I didn't really see it. So I didn't really know how to get started or anything like that. I didn't have any money. When I was 18, I came to LA for the first time to visit, and that was the first time that I saw black people having money and living well and having nice cars and nice houses and things like that. And it was crazy because I really didn't know that was possible. Like, you never see it, so you don't think about it. That's kind of when I realized I wanted something different. I wanted something better. And I didn't know how to get it. And, during that time, it was like the video vixen era, and I was getting booked for pretty much everything. It was not something that I wanted to do, but it's like, okay, let me use my resources. What do I have that I can, use to make money? And that was
your body,
my face, my everything. But it's not just that. Because, there's a million pretty girls. There's a million girls with great bodies, but everybody doesn't know what they're doing. Everybody doesn't work. Everybody doesn't know how to work the camera, how to create the mood, how to tell the story. There's a lot of like mixed girls and Spanish girls and things like that I'd be on set with that, might think that they're the prettiest one or whatever, and they end up sitting in the trailer all day, and I'm working all day. And it's like, at the end of the day, everyone's pretty, and even if you're not, you can create pretty. You can make yourself look pretty. You can augment things. But can you work the camera? Can you captivate? Can you tell the story? Do people want to work with you again? So that's something that, I had to really make sure to do because I needed the money. A lot of the girls had something to fall back on. I didn't have any support.
Oh, so you were this actually happened in Atlanta. So you moved from Chicago to Atlanta, and you found out that, hey, you could do music videos, make a lot of money from it. At what point did you find that you started to become that brand? Masika Kalysha was a brand.
Yeah. So in Chicago, my parents had us in like acting and things like that. And believe it or not, I was shy. No one believes that. So I would always do great on my auditions, but they'd always say, she doesn't want to talk to us. Like, she'll answer the question directly and that's it. Like, how are you? Fine. It was never like, oh, I'm fine. How are you? Today was a... So I didn't want to do it. So I'd ask my parents to take me out. We moved to Atlanta when I was still in high school. And my parents kicked me out when I was 17 and, kind of tried to figure it out on my own. So I kind of went from not being allowed to drive. I wasn't allowed to talk to boys on the phone. I wasn't allowed to do anything. To all of a sudden now I'm thrown out in the world. And I really had to figure it out really quickly.
And why did they do that? Why did your parents kick you out?
Oh, God, it's such a... I don't even want to tell this story.
Were you out of control?
Absolutely
you were shy,
not.
but
No.
now you're out of control. What?
No.
Were you getting bad grades? Because
No.
you're really smart.
No, I actually skipped a grade. I graduated early. I wanted to go to Loyola. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to do all these things. My parents did not let me go. They wanted me to take a year off from school to do ballet or go to fashion design school, which, I was interested in, but I never wanted to take a break. It was more of, I was 17 and they didn't want me leaving or whatever. I don't know. I don't even want to tell the story of why I got kicked out because it's literally the most ignorant, asinine thing.
It doesn't make sense because your mom and you are so close now.
I mean, I've come to terms with it as an adult and kind of like made up my own reasons now that I'm a parent. I think, and I could be wrong, I think my parents were trying to teach me a lesson, thinking that it would shock me and shake me up and I'd come back home, but I never went back. And I have not gone back to this day. That was over a decade ago. So,
and it's kind of funny because now here you are supporting your family.
Yeah.
And you're the breadwinner.
Yeah, just bought my mom a new Benz.
Just you. And you bought your mom a new Benz,
Yeah.
right? I saw that it was on an episode, right?
Yeah.
Which episode was
Growing
that?
Up Hip Hop.
Growing Up Hip Hop. So it's kind of come full circle. Now you are the breadwinner.
Yeah.
And you're taking care of them.
Yeah.
So good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
So you're on your own.
On my own, trying to figure it out. I ended up staying in the basement of the guy I was dating house at the time. He lived with his parents and 5 kids.
And you stayed in the basement with your boyfriend?
I stayed in their basement for 2 months. Got 3 jobs till I got enough money to get my own place. Got my own place, got my own car. I was in college. I had a 4.0 initially. And it was like, okay, I work and make money and pay my bills and grades slip. Or I, study real hard, miss work, and I'm broke. So it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? College ain't for me. I'm not trying to be the broke, struggling college student. I'm out. Started making, a lot of money doing urban modeling. And it got to the point where I was one of like the top girls getting booked for everything. And a friend of mine's little sister reached out to me on Instant Messenger back in Sidekick days. And she was like, hey, I want to work for you. I'm like, girl, I ain't got no money for you. And, she said she wanted to be my assistant. And I'm like, okay, who's this kid? This is weird. Whatever. She's like, no, you're really branding yourself and I see the potential and I think it could really help you. I have the business sense, you have the contacts, we put it together. Maybe this could be something. So I kind of was like, all right, whatever. She flew out to Atlanta on her own dime and we just kind of like, let's see what we can do. And I think that was the first time I realized, I could really create a brand. And she stayed for a couple weeks, I'm not sure, but, put together proposals and prepared like a rate sheet and prepared a writer for me and a booking contract and just things that I hadn't really thought of. We put together like my EPK and press kit and things like that. And it just kind of started happening quicker than I was really prepared for. And, I came back to LA a couple times and I decided that I wanted to move here. I wanted to be one of these successful Black people that have the nice cars and houses and everything.
So how did you become successful? How did that all work out? Here you're in Atlanta. You're living in your boyfriend's basement.
Wait, that was 2 months. I had my own place now at this point. I had a townhouse right behind the Georgia Terrace, and I was there for a little bit. I had a condo in Atlantic Station.
So you broke up with him? You broke up with your boyfriend.
Yeah.
And now you're living by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, hey, I'm not going to live in the basement with you no more.
No, it wasn't living in the basement with him. I mean, I had nowhere to go, and his parents were nice enough to, help me.
Help you guys.
No. He was not allowed to be in the basement.
Oh.
He was in his room.
Wait. So he was in his room. What kind of relationship is that?
I was 18. He was like 20.
I was almost going to say something about R. Kelly. Cut. Just joking.
No.
No.
Inappropriate. Too soon. Or, you could say something about Woody Allen or, Seinfeld or Elvis Presley, whose wife was 14, or, let's talk Woody Allen, who molested his 7-year-old foster kid.
This is not part
disgusting.
of the business.
I'm just saying, like, if we're going to dig up skeletons, we should get a shovel in every color. I just don't understand why we're attacking only black men's legacy when we have so much filth and disgusting.
Do you think that's really just about black men, or do you think it's actually just about the person itself? Because at that point, it's not. I don't feel like it's a race. I think it's a person.
Well, why haven't we? Woody Allen's walking free. He should have got the chair.
And
Seinfeld was boning a 17-year-old when he was 39. Like, we don't talk about any of these things. Elvis Presley with a 14-year-old when he was 30-something.
You already know this.
This does not excuse the R. Kelly situation whatsoever. I just don't see any specials running or Oprah sitting down with Harvey Weinstein, her bestie. Like, why are we choosing to do this to black male figures?
Is it only about black, or is that something that it's a thing right now?
Charlie Sheen's giving out AIDS. No specials on that.
Well, there was some TMZ about that.
Yeah, for a day. I don't know what it's about.
But
I just
you already know
what
we're corrupt,
about.
right? We're already corrupt, right? So let's just say it. This world's corrupt, right? Mm-hmm. Especially the United States.
Exactly. It just seems a little convenient that we're only demasculating black men and taking away their legacy. And again, that doesn't excuse any of their behavior. If these accusations are true, they're deplorable and they deserve to be punished for them. However, let's take everybody.
Well, Harvey Weinstein, he went down.
Yeah, but we're not talking
about that. They made an example
anymore.
of him.
Where's the Harvey Weinstein special?
We're talking about
where's
people
the Donald
like
Trump special? Trump just paid off a 13-year-old girl that he raped at one of his sex parties before the campaign and paid her a gag gave her a gag order and paid for that. Like, Trump said that he can grab a woman by the pussy.
What about O.J. Simpson?
What about him?
I mean, he obviously had the best of the best attorneys, right?
How many specials have we had on O.J. since? It's been a Lifetime series.
Great TV.
This special, that special, all these specials. Our president is a child molester. Our president is, come on. Like, it's just
Well, we know what it is, but it's never going to come out. Because we already know a lot of stuff's coming down the pipeline here. If I ask, what would you like to change? What would you like to see change?
The biggest change I would like is, first, Trump to change the toupee. But I would like him to change it out of office. We have the biggest joke as a president. Our president he's a bigot. He's a racist. It's a joke. I think that it's never been a time where I've been ashamed to be an American. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I think that, with Trump in office, it gives people a feeling that they can do these things or say these things or get away with these things because, our president is a reality TV star. Let's be honest. It's like Love and Hip Hop DC.
So was Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And he was our governor.
Yeah, but, it's still a big difference. Like, Trump wants the attention. He wants the publicity. He wants the fame. He wants the notoriety. I just think it was a whole big joke. He ran for president to gain more power, not to help the world.
But the majority of Americans did choose him. So regardless of what you think,
that's what they say.
No, obviously he got elected.
Here's the thing. If we think about it, of course, our right to vote is very important. People have fought for it for a million years. Women, other nationalities weren't allowed to do that. But we're talking about our right to vote. But look at the Electoral College. At the end of the day, does it really matter what we vote when Electoral College has the ultimate, decision? So it's whatever. Russia had a lot to do with it too. But hey, who knows?
You think so?
I do.
You really think so?
I personally do. For Trump to try to put a tax on any import and exports, 35% tariff, so that all of the work can stay in America. But when he decided to tear down the Indian reservoirs, all the pipelines and stuff that he got came from Russia. So wait a minute, how much you pay for that? And did you pay the export tax on that you're trying to make us pay? It's just a lot happening here.
You know what the funny thing about it is? A lot of people that don't know you wouldn't realize that you actually pay attention to that stuff.
Oh, yeah. It takes a very, very smart brunette to play a dumb blonde. And sometimes you have to know your role and your position. I don't need people to know what I do, what I'm into, or whatever. I just need them to pay attention, and they pay attention to foolishness. So if that's what it takes, then sometimes you gotta put on the clown hat, but I always have my high heels and my red lipstick available.
Now, this is a lot of stuff that a lot of people don't ask you those questions, and people, you would never realize that you're actually really that smart. You're the person that will actually read a contract. You'll read every line, and you'll ask a question. And if you don't know what that question is, you're asking your good old attorney over there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But that's different, because a lot of reality stars don't have their team, and you seem to be, really in tune with your team as if you're a one. So the protocol. You say, contract, attorney, hey, I don't understand what this means. Can you tell me what this means? All right, cool. Do you think it's a great idea? All right, I'm going to make this kind of money. I'm going to talk to my accountant. Where can I save this money? I'm going to talk to, my investment company, which is, I think you're spread out there because, that you save for a rainy day because you have a child. A lot of people don't realize that about you, but, you're a very smart businesswoman. You've been doing this for years. You've also branded your child, and even before DJ Khaled, put his child on an album, you were branding your child to be a hair product ambassador.
Hair and makeup. Yeah.
Hair and makeup.
She has her own line, Kari Barbie Beauty.
And what inspired you to do that?
Oh my God, so many things. You touched on a lot of different points, so I'll try to hit a few of them. When I was pregnant, for me, it was like, okay, I want my daughter to have something that she can own, that she can be in charge of. I don't want her to have to go through things that I went through. I want to start her early and set her off on the right path. So she's already 20% owner of the company before she was born, which I was told I couldn't legally do. She had to be able to sign the papers. So when she was born, I took her to the bank and put the pen in her hand and said, now she signed it, so put her on there. They looked at me like, oh, she was 3 weeks old. But anyway, it's just really important, especially as a female, as a minority, we don't set our children up to win. And I don't think it's because we don't want to. I think it's because we don't know any better. I didn't learn about, like I said, my mom, she touched on it, but I never actually saw and experienced it. So, it's hard to learn something and retain something when you don't actually try it, when you don't actually do it. You can tell somebody how to ride a bike, but you got to actually pedal. So I never really knew about it until, honestly, my daughter's father started teaching me about investments and stocks and bonds and things like that. He started off investing in truck companies that ship rice and things like that. And he taught me about the stock market. And, he understands it really well. He's taken a lot of business classes. And I don't understand it as well as he does still. But, he sat down and took the time to okay, you can let me show you how to start on a small scale. You can start with 2,000, do it this way and that way and blah, blah, blah. And, I didn't really get it like he did. So, he kind of told me the people he hired. So I went and hired people above them. And that's kind of how I got started pretty much, from him.
Here you are, you hired an assistant now that flew out on her own dime.
I'm skipping just a little bit. Well, no, I think maybe.
But you were in Atlanta still,
yeah, so
you're 18, and you have these big ideas saying, hey, I'm going to come out to Hollywood and do exactly what I did in Atlanta, but do it much bigger because I have these dreams and hopes.
I was waitressing at Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles. And this guy,
Gladys Knight's Chicken.
Yeah.
What is that?
It was Gladys Knight's restaurant. It's like Roscoe's here, but it's Gladys Knight's.
Did she ever come in?
Yeah, not too much, but her son Shanga ran the restaurant. I think he was indicted for money laundering. Actually, out of there, I'm not really sure. But I don't remember. I was long gone when that happened.
This is why we love her.
And at the restaurant, they always put celebrities on the wall, pictures of celebrities that would come in. And I always tell them, one day my picture's going to be on that wall. One day it's going to be on the wall. And, I had no idea how that was going to happen. I was just, speaking faith. And I had 2 customers come in. It was these 2 guys, 2 black guys. And this one guy was like, oh, you're beautiful. You should be a model. And I'm like, whatever. He's like, I want to fly you to Atlanta and do this shoot, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, I have a boyfriend. He was like, well, his broke ass can come too. And type deal. So I was like, well, fine. And we actually exchanged information, and he had a marketing company and blah, blah. I don't know. I ended up coming to LA, paid me $1,500 to do the shoot. And at that time I was like, $1,500, that's amazing, So, he picked me up in an Aston Martin, put me up at the Lura Montage, which then was the place. And, you know, there was a Rolls Royce downstairs and this downstairs. He's like, there's cars at the valet, take your pick. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And,
you drop your boyfriend?
Huh? What'd you say?
I say you drop your boyfriend.
I did when I came back. I surely did. Because at that point, I used to like tall, light-skinned, model-looking boys that were like broke. And coming to LA with him, you know, and seeing a different lifestyle that, you know, some of these roughneck, rugged, drug dealer-looking guys are the ones that have all the power. I was like, ooh, yeah, I like that. So that kind of like started me liking ugly guys. It is so weird, but like I like a little ugly, handsome guys. Like I want to look at you and frown a little bit. Like ooh.
I read something actually, and I didn't even know about you. You dated Gucci Man.
Who said that?
I read it online.
No, we were friends. Oh my god.
I read it online.
We did not date. We were really good friends when he was a drug addict and
a drug dealer or drug addict.
Addict. He was not a dealer. But no, he was. I mean, living in Atlanta, I was friends with Gucci. I was friends with Future. I was friends with Waka. No romantic involvement, like people like to say. You know, just I was the hot video girl at the time.
You never kissed Gucci Man?
Listen, kiss my ass. Anyway,
moving on.
So you know, when I came back to Atlanta waitressing, I saw something that was like they were looking for extras for the movie ATL. So I was like, oh, this would be fun. I'll go on set one day. And I had never been on a set at that point. So I waited for my off day, and I went up there to be an extra, and I got there a little late. And when I got there was like a line of girls. It was like 100 girls just standing in a line. And someone was like standing in line. I didn't even know what it was for. They had Chris Robinson on one of the dollies. And they were sliding him down the line. He was like sitting on the dolly, like going down the line, looking at the girls. And I was like, what? This is weird. So I'm on the end. He's like, get her in hair and makeup. So they take me to hair and makeup, and they start like taking off clothes and putting on clothes and doing this to my hair. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I don't even know what's happening. Then they walk me to this area where the set is. And again, I'd never been on set. So they take me in the middle of the circle. Big boy walks up, and he has a cigar, and he's like some cognac, and they're like introduce him to me. And they're like, okay. He's like, all right, everybody ready? Okay. You know, background, action, and action. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? And they're like, nobody told her, brief her. What's going on? So they wanted me to kiss him, and I had never been on camera before, ever. I had never, like, you know, met really much just like customers, like ball players and stuff that came in the restaurant, but I never really knew anyone. So I was like, wow, this is my first time ever filming anything in front of all these people, and I got to kiss this man who's smoking his cigar and drinking cognac. It's going to be great. So they wanted me to play his girlfriend, but I didn't speak. And I didn't know the difference between an extra, a featured, extra, a stand-in, background. I didn't know any of that at that point. So I didn't realize that they didn't want me to talk because they would have had to pay me more. So I was like Big Boy's mute girlfriend for half the movie. And then I was super excited when the movie came out because I was so excited to see my part. They put like a picture of me in the ad. I was like, oh, it looks so cute. Movie comes, I'm nowhere to be found. They edited the whole thing out. I was like, is that
you were in ATL?
No, I was. I'm in the ATL. I edited. I'm on the cutting room floor of ATL. I think you might see me in the background here and there. But like I said, I didn't know the difference. So I ended up working on that film for most of the summer. And just kind of, even days that I wasn't working, they let me be a stand-in or extra. And I met a lot of casting directors. I met Jazzy Faye, who's now my daughter's godfather. I met T.I., who I've been great friends with T.I. and Tamika for years. And that's kind of the set where I started meeting all of these people. And so the day we wrapped, I was booked for Big Tigger's Kittens Calendar, which was like the big thing back then. Flew to Miami and did that. Came back to Atlanta, met all the big casting directors on set. So I got booked for a T.I. video. That was my first video. Then Trillville, then Nelly, and it just kind of started taking off. It was literally like back to back. I realized, okay, in one day I can make $1,000 to $3,000, where it takes me 2 to 3 weeks to do that waiting tables. And it just got to the point where I was making so much money that I quit my job, and I was able to do, a lot of things I wanted to do. I kind of got a little comfortable because it was like I was making so much money at 19. I got a 2-bedroom condo at the 12, which was like before all the drug dealers and scammers moved in. It was really hard to get in there. I had my little Benz. You couldn't tell me nothing. And then, still wanting to move to LA, but it's like I was comfortable. So I was a big fish in a small pond at that point. It was like scary to move to LA.
Why did you want to move to LA?
I wanted to move to LA for more opportunities. I wanted to move to LA to be an actress. I wanted to move to LA. I felt like, again, LA was a place where I saw so much success, and I wanted room to grow. I felt like in Atlanta, it wasn't that much room to grow for me at that point. Like, how I could only do so much or be so big. Now there's a lot more opportunities in Atlanta. They have like a lot of sound stages and they're filming a lot. But at that point, there wasn't that many.
At what point did you get approached to do TV? You were,
I was never approached.
No, you did ATL in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to California, and how did TV come about?
Well, I did it. Like, no one ever handed me anything or called me or said, hey, we think you'd be great. No, I made sure they knew who I was and knew that I was going to be great.
The hungry mouth gets fed.
Exactly. A girlfriend of mine, LaShawna Threet, who I used to do videos with, she passed on her birthday. She fell out the window at the W on 14th Street. It was a crazy story. I still don't know the exact details, but the general gist of it, she had a birthday dinner in her hotel room, her and her best friend. They were, hugging or something, like rocking by the window. The window was like, they weren't like hotel windows, they were like house windows. From what I'm told, like someone bumped the window and it was like a crack that combusted and created like a suction that put them through. Something like total Final Destination type story. And LaShawna went through the awning and died. Her girlfriend fell 10 floors down all the way to the valet, and she actually lived.
What? So
it was the craziest story, and it was just, it was so shocking and alarming. And I went to her funeral, and I remember the eulogy, and they were saying LaShawna did a Bobby Valentino video, and she was a Nuvo promo girl, and they were like reading these accolades, and I'm like, this woman did not know she was going to die today, and this would be her legacy. And I just remember seeing my funeral and seeing a tombstone that said, "Here lies a video vixen." I was like, fuck no. And I literally, like, crying my eyes out, I went home and booked a one-way ticket to LA. Came out here, stayed with a friend for 5 to 6 weeks, found a job, found some agencies, got some headshots, did a couple shoots, found an apartment, signed my lease, went back to LA, put in my 30-day notice, packed everything, shipped everything.
You mean went back to Atlanta?
Went back to Atlanta, yeah. Packed up, shipped everything. And the funny thing is, all of the guys I was dating, because there was a few, and all of my best friends that, we all said we're going to move together. It was like once I was finally like, okay, I'm moving, da-da-da, they all just vanished. There was literally 2 friends that helped me pack. Other than that, nobody was there to be found. I don't know if they were mad because I was moving and they weren't, or whatever it was, but I had to go. Like, I had goals that I had to reach, and I had to go. So I left, and I never looked back.
So what are the first steps? Here you are in LA. It's a big city. You're kind of scared. Where do you start?
At the bottom.
But everybody has this misconception that
everybody wants to start at the top.
Everybody's a huge celebrity. They move from Atlanta. They move from New York, Chicago, and they're a huge star running out the gate. Everybody
wants to eat, but nobody wants to cook. And you could even literally give them the ingredients, and they would say that they're hungry. Put them together. You got to stir it. You got to crack the eggs. You got to do all that. Everybody wants to start at the top. Most producers were PAs at one point. Most stars did demos for other people at one point. Almost every successful actor I know was an extra at some point. And, social media today has it so confused. Like, they feel like, they can start at the top. I mean, some people might be able to. There are several people that piggyback off of other people to skip all these steps. But even if you do that and skip those steps, it's not going to last. You don't have the foundation. So even if you're able to piggyback on somebody else, it's going to be fleeting because you don't know how to keep it. Parents will still teach their children, yes, we're affluent, yes, we're this, but this is how we got there. And, you see certain kids like Tommy Hilfiger's kids that just do drugs all day and, aren't really doing anything with their lives because they probably didn't have to do that. And then you see like Diddy's kids that are doing well because he still taught them, like, yes, we're rich, but you still need to get a job. You still have to learn how to work. You still have to go to school. You still have to do all these things. So I came to LA, and like I said, before I moved here, I kind of set some roots. Just different casting directors that I made sure knew me, so they kept booking me. I got a bottle service job at a little club in West Hollywood that no one would know I worked at. So 2 days a week, I know at least I can make a couple $1,000s. Just kind of set the foundation. And not a couple months after I'd been here, I saw a write-up on Boss Up for Love and Hip Hop coming to LA. And I looked at that, I was like, I would never do this show. And two of my girlfriends sent me a screenshot, like, bitch, you better get on the show, this gonna be you. I'm like, I would never in a million years do that show. Let me call somebody and see if I can get on the show. Because at first it's like, I wouldn't do that. But then I thought about it. I'd rather be a working actor than acting like I'm working. And even though it's reality TV, it's acting. We're not gonna go into that.
You moved to LA, and here you are hitting the screen.
Right. Honestly, I was like, shit, I made it. Great. I'm about to be famous. Money's up rolling in. No. I didn't know. Like, there were so many things I didn't know. I didn't have a publicist initially. I didn't have a manager. I didn't have, like, all these things. People think you get on TV and phew, that's it. No, you have to know the legal things. Like, there was records that I wanted to do, and put out. And I'm like, okay, great. I have this platform with 1 million plus viewers. I can put out a record and go platinum easy. Great. Didn't realize, that I needed the TV split sheets and the music split sheets and this and that. So like there's a deadline to get those done by each episode. And again, I didn't have the right manager, the right team or things like that. And I had so many people that were begging to do records with me because they wanted to be on TV. So it's like, hey, here's the split sheets, da-da-da. I'm like, first of all, I didn't know what a split sheet was. Then it's like, oh, okay, cool. So they explain it to you, and then you send it to the producer or whoever you wrote with. Then here comes oh, yeah, I'm going to need $10 million, $1 billion to sign this. So it was like all of these people that were like trying to blackmail me and like, see what they could get because now I'm on TV and they think, shoot, she's rich now. And, so it was like I lost a lot of opportunities. There were a lot of records that I couldn't get on the show or missed out on or missed deadlines on or, that just, I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. So it's like all this time, I spent hours in the studio, writing and doing these sessions. Now I can't even use these records because these people think that they're going to get famous now or get rich off of me, so they're blackmailing me. Didn't know any of that. So I really didn't get much of any music done that I was able to promote legally season 1. And again, you learn by making mistakes. Then, I quit season 2 because I didn't like how they were trying to portray me. They wanted me.
You can quit a TV show?
I thought I could.
Oh.
Could it?
Let's go into that.
Yeah. So, I didn't like how they were portraying me. They wanted me to be this hoe so bad and everybody's side chick. And it was just like, none of the stories were true. And, when the show first aired, I'm like, all these people are so mean. Why are they saying these negative things? For like 4 weeks, the comments really bothered me. Then by week 5, I realized, wait, they're bothered by me. And my whole tone changed. Like, I don't care what you're saying. Every week I get 20 to 40,000 new followers. That's new opportunities, new money, new fans, new whatever. At the end of the day, whether you're saying something positive or negative, you're saying something. That's a click. That's a hit. My bank account can't tell the difference between a positive and a negative. It's still a click. It's still a hit. So once I realized that, I stopped caring. I stopped caring what strangers thought. Like, when you're that passionate about somebody to say something like that mean, evil, and just downright ridiculous, that means that person has affected you in some way. So whether you love me or you hate me, it's a passionate emotion that you're evoking because of me. So I look at it the same way. It's all love to me. So I stopped caring.
How many times have you quit Love and Hip Hop?
Twice. One time unsuccessfully. So, season 2, I didn't want to come back. I'm like, they treated me like this. They made me look this way. I'm never doing it again. And, I was pregnant and nobody knew it. And I was trying to get as much work done before I started showing. And I had actually wrote and pitched my own show that the working title was Pregnant in Pumps. And, I was working with Lisa Bacon, and she got me a deal with Critical Content, a shopping deal. We had actually shot the pilot. And, we had some offers from really big networks. And I went on Power 106 in December and announced my pregnancy and shut the internet down. It was their top 10 moments of the year. I think it was number 1 or 2 for them. And after that, I just got all flooded with all this shit. And Mona comes calling. Well, she didn't call, actually. I got a contract. No phone call, no email, no nothing. So, I went back and forth with the producers, and everybody called me but Mona. And I was like, no, like, why hasn't she called me? Mona needs to call me. That's crazy. Like, you don't just send me a contract. So finally get the call from Mona. And, I told her, well, I'm doing my own show and blah, 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 blah. And then she politely let me know, that's cute. You can't do it. Well, I could sue you, bankrupt you, this, that, call them. You don't have a release. You can't do the show. And so I'm like, what are you talking about? So I called my attorney at the time, and come to find I can't do anything. I'm stuck in this contract. I can either come back or I can't do anything else. I didn't know that I couldn't move past the contract. They had explained my contract to me incorrectly. They said I have a year and a day from the last episode I filmed to sit out. So I'm like, okay. So at that point, that would have been like another 6 months, but I wanted to capture my pregnancy. So I was like, darn it. And they ended up making an offer, and I ended up going back because I was like, I'm pregnant. I need a job. I'm going to come back. Didn't realize that was even wrong. It wasn't a year and a day. It was 8 years and a year and a day from that time. Whether I quit or not, it was 8 years that I couldn't do another reality show, game show, hosting. I couldn't even do scripted if the character I played resembled myself, that they could fight and say, I'm playing a character that's similar to myself. I couldn't do short form, anything that could compete with their format, I wasn't allowed to do.
You have an attorney at the time?
I did. So I had hired 3 attorneys. I'm not going to say their names, but they were 3 of the biggest name attorneys in entertainment law, and they had all the reality stars.
You should have been fine then.
You should have been, right? They were at the biggest firms, and they had, when I say all the top girls, I'm thinking I hired the best attorneys. They have all the girls, they're going to give me the best deals. And I remember, I came back season 3 and I was miserable. Season 4, I wanted to literally just never come to work. And I was trying to figure out, how do I get out of my contract? I was depressed, upset. I hated every day at work. And they were literally antagonizing me. They were dragging me through the mud because I didn't want to cooperate with their fake storyline. I was a mother now. So all the stuff I was willing to do, I'm not. I told them my child is off limits. Anything that has to do with her that can negatively affect her, that she can see one day, I'm not going to do. And they refused to respect my wishes. So I refused to do it. I talked to my attorney at the time. I need to get out my contract. How can you help? Can you help? He sent a request. They ignored him. Then, he said something, whatever. I called Mona and told her, listen, I just want to let you know I had my attorney request my release. And I just wanted to, I appreciate the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't want you to find out via email. I want to talk to you. She was like, yeah, I know they told me. But, I don't know. Nobody's gotten out of this contract early. So you can, sit out to the end of the till period. Again, I was told it's a year and a day. So I'm like, whatever. So I was really stressed out. I was on the phone with my attorney, and I was like, I got to go. We had literally just had this conversation about getting my release. And he was like, let me see what I can do. I'm going to try. And I was like, I have to go to dinner. So I hung up with him, and I went to BOA. And I'm walking out of BOA, and boom, I run into my attorney, literally almost smacked him in the face. I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, hi, hey, hi. Yeah, I'm, funny thing, I'm having dinner with your soon-to-be former boss. It's Mona's Christmas dinner. I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, you want to go say hi? I was like, absolutely. And I walk out to the courtyard, and it's Mona and all of the producers of the show and pretty much the whole staff having a Christmas dinner. And it just clicked. He's in cahoots with the network. Why would I think that these attorneys that have all the reality stars are going to be fighting for us? They're probably on some type of payroll, so get some type of bonuses or some type of incentive to keep us in these BS contracts. And, it clicked. From that moment, I called you. You referred me to your attorney. I called him. And that began the end of me hiring the same people everybody else hires.
Because I know my attorney really well, and he would say, was there a conflict waiver signed?
No. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know I would need it. It never crossed my mind because I'm not thinking that way. I'm thinking, okay, this worked for Amber Rose, this worked for Nene, this worked for Drea. It's like we just see things and we go for it. I had hired one of the top girls, PR, thinking it worked for her. They were actually making sure that I couldn't compete with her and taking my check. So it's like you don't know until you find out, and usually you got to lose time or money to find out. But I was able to get out of my contract for several reasons, which I can't speak on. But after hiring an attorney that actually read contracts and knew the laws, it worked out. And they actually told him when I changed attorneys, she can quit, but she's going to sit. We're never going to let her go to a competing show. And that didn't end up very well for them. So, it's not about what your offer is, about what you can negotiate. So thankfully I was able to get out that season and move on to another show and other opportunities that I would have never been able to get had I stayed with the wrong team.
And which is really amazing, because I feel like with your new contract, because we spoke a little bit about it, but you pretty much have the upper leverage on your new show.
I'm not going to speak on my contract, but I will say, get you a good attorney.
Oh, yeah, he's on it too.
Yeah, Michael Heikland is my attorney. And, again, I've referred my attorney to my friends, and they end up getting a bad deal because they don't want to pay. And the thing for me is like, again, invest in yourself. I cannot say that enough. Spend money to make money. So for me, it's like, okay, the retainer may be whatever it is. Let's say it's $2,500, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, whatever the retainer may be. It's like, oh, do I want to pay this? But let's look at it this way. I don't want to come back to this show, which means I'm going to sit out, which means I'm not going to make any money from here. I can't go on to any other show, which means I can't make any more money from here. So I may pay this small amount up front, which is like, okay, I really didn't want to pay that. But then if I get out of that contract, I might have another deal on the table for $500,000, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, whatever it is. So it's like, I invest in this so that I can get more later. And that's the thing I've seen with a lot of people, especially on these type of shows. It's like you're in this position. This is a stage that you get to perform on. You have an audience of millions of people. You can sell whatever you want to sell. Why would you not spend the money on, let me get a good business manager to make sure all my affairs are in order, bills are paid on time, staff is paid, taxes is done right, checks are coming in when they're supposed to. Let me get a good attorney and spend the money to make sure my contracts are right. Let me go ahead and pay a good publicist, make sure everything's in order, so that when the show airs or whatever, I'll have the PR that can promote me and make sure I'm on the red carpets and get me at Fashion Week and get my product in the magazines. And I'll have the attorney to make sure all those deals are correct. And I'll have the business manager to make sure those checks are coming in as they should. And that's how things flow, and you get more money.
Well, you had deals even when you're in your contract with VH1. You had promotional deals. You were doing your Instagram. You have now over 2 million followers, and you're actively using it.
Yeah. So while on TV, of course, it opens a lot of doors. You could do a lot of promo deals, hostings, things like that. Of course, I have my cosmetic line, other businesses that are not related to the show. That's one thing I learned too from 50 Cent, who is a very, very smart businessman. He is a troll, but he's a very smart businessman. He had this stint where he wanted to be a photographer. And he actually shot me for Smooth Magazine in 2010. No one really knows this, whatever. And he was talking to me about business. This was way before Love and Hip Hop. And I still lived in Atlanta at the time. She was in New York. And he told me, like, sometimes you can't tell everybody what you're doing. It's like, people won't support you just because it's you. Sometimes they want to look like you or wear what you're wearing or do what you're doing, but if they find out you're the person behind it, they're going to hate on you. He's like, so let's say you want a lip gloss line or whatever. Your lip gloss might be better than MAC's lip gloss, and yours might cost $10, theirs might cost $20. He's like, but if you tell everybody about yours, they're going to be like, I'm going to MAC. But if everybody's like, oh, what are you wearing? I'm like, oh, this great gloss is it's only $10, and I got it at this place, and it's better than MAC. Everybody's going to want to buy it. So, I learned that early on, like, okay, you can't always let people know what you own, unfortunately, especially in Black community. We don't support each other. You have Jewish community supporting each other, Indian community supporting each other. Like, look, when you go to gas stations or you go to the parking lots, like, they're family-owned, generational, owned by generational families and different, they all support each other. They all pull together. Why as Black people are we not buying parking lots? Can you imagine? I can charge 50 people to park on a square for one day, but we don't want to do that work. We're lazy. We don't want to support each other.
Is that laziness or just a lack of opportunity?
I mean, kind of both. The reason why I can't get with lack of opportunity is because nobody gave me anything. Nobody walked me through a door politely. I've kicked doors down. I've got on my stomach and crawled under a fence. You know, I figure out a way to get into the place I need to get into. If I got to pull the fire hydrant so everybody runs out and I can get in, whatever it takes, I'm going to make sure I get in there because I'm hungry and I need to eat. But you have people that, you know, no, oh, well, I can go to mom's house and eat. I can go to this house and eat. So they're not hungry. Like, they want it, but they don't really want it. So I can't necessarily say lack of opportunity, although I feel like there is less opportunities for minorities sometimes because you can go and get it. Like, who gave Diddy an opportunity? Who gave Russell Simmons an opportunity? Like, you got to go and do it for yourself, too. So
do you feel like you could take a video vixen or just a standard girl on the street and actually change their lives by giving them the opportunity and instilling them that they have what it takes to win and teaching them what you've learned? You think you could do that to just anybody? Nope. Why not?
You got to have the work ethic. You got to have the drive. You got to have the desire. I can take anybody and make them whatever I want them to be until the puppet strings are off. Like, I'm not a babysitter. So, you know, yeah, I can fix up anybody, make them look good, and give them an opportunity. But I guarantee you, once I let go, they'll lose it. So
somebody out there that is inspired by you, because there's a lot of people that support you. What are they called, by the way?
Oh, Masika Mafia.
The Masika Mafia. Do you think you've changed people's lives?
I have, and it was kind of shocking to see. I've had girls like send me messages like I was gonna kill myself until I saw your story. Like, I was pregnant and had nowhere to go, and you are the reason why, you know, I kept pushing. And, you know, I get a lot of single moms and a lot of young women. I wrote this song while I was pregnant called My Own, and I would have girls making videos like pouring down tears like, yo, this song made me get through. And, you know, and that's what I wanted. That's what did it for me. Like, when I found out I was pregnant and I was like just in such a bad place in my mind, Bryson Tiller Don't got me from jumping off a bridge. And, you know, that just listening to that song over and over, it really spoke to what I was going through and the situation at that time. So, you know, when I made My Own, I kind of wanted it to be, I wanted girls to feel what I was feeling and know that there was hope, and it gave them that hope. You know, I've yet to have like a platinum selling record, and again, that's part of the team. You know, I used to think that you make a good song, it just happens. No, you know, a lot of times you got to pay people, DJs, radio stations, whatever, and even if it's not paying, you have to have a marketing budget. You know, you have to have the right PR that can get you in the office with Spotify and iTunes to get on those playlists. And, you know, you got to spend money. And I just recently found that out over the past, like, 2 years, you know, so.
But don't you think it's successful that you've kept people from committing suicide? Don't you think that means more than a platinum record just because you've had that power?
It does, but imagine if that record was platinum, how many more people I could have reached, you know? Because music for me is therapeutic. Music for me is tells stories, whether it's good, bad, happy, sad, you know, whatever. I like to talk about things that women go through and don't talk about. Like, men are always saying whatever they want. Why can't we? So, you know, my music is fun, and it's, you know, I say shit that people don't.
Okay, outside of work, what's your dating life like?
Let's see. Between my text messages, DMs, and other things, I would say it looks like Summer Jam backstage, Super Bowl, and the playoffs.
What does that mean?
A lot of thought leads, a lot of rappers, singers. You know, usually it's all of the blue check losers that are always like, you know, trying to get your attention, and they feel like because of who they are, they don't have to do much. So that's usually who ends up approaching me, and every now and then I'll end up giving one like an opportunity to fuck up. You know, where I am right now is like, I'm very busy, and I'm a real mom. Like, I'm not like an Instagram mom or like I'm with my daughter 25/8. There's very few people that I even let be around my kid, let alone watch her if I'm working. So I really don't waste time with someone that I don't feel like deserves my child's presence. One, I'm not bringing you to meet my daughter. Two, I'm not paying a nanny to sit and entertain your foolishness away from my daughter. A lot of times I don't live here. I don't hop on a plane for any boys. I'm not leaving my child behind and get on a plane for you, no. And I'm not bringing her with me to go meet you, no. So it takes a lot, honestly. It takes a whole lot to even break that barrier at this point to get to meet someone and learn somebody new. So whenever that does occur, it is a very rare and special thing.
Are you open to love? I don't even know after that whole conversation.
I love people. I have people that love me.
So just a straight question. Are you dating right now?
I am doing everything I want to do right now.
Including dating?
I mean, is that something I want to do? I'll do.
A husband one day?
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. I decided last year that I wanted to get married this year.
And
I've
how's that
already
looking?
changed my mind.
How's that looking?
I've already changed my mind.
Oh, you've already changed your mind.
Yeah, I definitely do want to get married at some point, but I don't want to get married to get married. Like, marriage is not like, there's no ticking clock, like, oh, I got to hurry up and do it. No, like, I want to do it at the right time with the right person who we're at the right place in our lives. Like, marriage is great, like, when it's great. Like, yes, love is awesome, but it's also a contract. Like, it's business at the end of the day. So when it makes sense, cool. Until then, no.
When's the last time you've been in love?
Why would you ask me that? Let me think. Oh, my God.
Besides with your baby.
That's every day of my life.
What is your type, Masika?
I'm attracted to power. I like powerful men. I feel like at a certain age, a physical description is childish. Like, I don't care what you look like. I care what you can do. I'm pretty enough for the both of us. I actually like guys that are a little rougher and rugged. I don't know why. I just do. I like men that you cannot cross and that you have to respect. I like men that don't try to get attention but command attention. I like the boss. I want the person in the room that is in charge. That's what I'm attracted to.
Said a lot of very valuable stuff there. Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years?
General 5-year plan. Right now I'm really, really focused on my music, focused on my acting, taking acting classes and going to different workshops and, working with, some different producers and putting together a really dope team. For me, my daughter's not in like school yet. So, she's almost 3. So the way I see it, I have 2.5 years to reach certain goals. If I'm not at a certain place, by then that's a wrap. I'm not going to be putting my daughter through all these changes and going on the road and being on tour if I have not reached a certain mark. So that is, my deadline. I feel like, I have my dreams. Everybody has their dreams. And I feel like I am living out a lot of my dreams. But, I have not gotten to the level musically that I want to get to. So, I hope that works out. And I'm putting, me and my team are working hard to make that happen. But it's okay to go to sleep and have another dream. People always, I feel like they won't, like, I want this so bad, but I'm not trying to be a SoundCloud artist with a kid in kindergarten.
So I want to thank you for coming by. You're one of my favorite people, as you already know.
Thanks, hi.
I love you and your family. How can people find you?
Super easy. At Masika Kalysha. That's my Twitter, my Instagram, my Snapchat, Masika Kalysha. You can go to masikakalysha.com for all of my updates. I have an app available on the App Store at Masika Kalysha, and that's exclusive content that only my app people get. You get to see things that people don't know behind the scenes. I give a lot of financial advice, tips on investing, and, I talk more one-on-one with people there. My SoundCloud and my Facebook is King Masika Kalysha. And, of course, you can download all my music on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you stream music.
That girl's silly. Let's go get a drink. It's a wrap. If you like what you've heard, subscribe on iTunes or your podcast app. Follow us on Instagram at All Tied Up. Tune in next week for our new episode.